Witches. What are the first things you think of when you think of witch? Old woman, crooked nose, evil, spells, black cats. Today, this is how we picture a witch is. In legends and folktales such as Snow White, witches are portrayed to be wicked people who use supernatural powers for evil. However, witches weren't originated to be evil. So how did witches ended up like this? Let's go back in history and start with the origin of witchcraft. What is witchcraft? Witchcraft means the craft of the wise. It is a spiritual practice, a way of life, a belief system, and a religion. It is known to be the oldest religion on earth. It was practiced in almost all the societies and cultures across the world with different local beliefs and practices. The many variations of practices are known as traditions, such as Celtic witchcraft tradition, Wiccan tradition, Norse tradition, etc. The first forms of magic were used to honor the natural world around them. At first, people mainly worshipped fertility goddess. Many suggested that it was when Indo-Europeans expanded westward, bringing warrior culture with them, that led to the worship of hunter god, which dominated the human goddess. Archaeologists found cave paintings from the Paleolithic period, dated 40,000 years ago, that depicts a man with the head of a stag, known as shaman or magic man, who was able to negotiate with the gods. In another painting, there is a pregnant woman standing in a circle with 11 other people. As tribal societies evolved, witchcraft evolved and became what is known today. Many argued that the real roots of witchcraft and magic came from the Celts, a diverse group of Iron Age tribal societies which flourished between about 700 BC and 100 AD in northern Europe, especially the British Isles. The religious beliefs and practices of the Celts is known as paganism. It is a natural-based religion where people were deeply aware of the natural world and see the power of the divine in the ongoing cycle of life and death. People practiced medicine at home by using potions, herbs, stones, oils, massages, and other simple home remedies. Over time, with the mixture of different beliefs and rituals from other Indo-European groups, pagan practices evolved to include concocting potions and ointments, casting spells, and performing works of magic, all of which, along with many of the natural-based beliefs held by the Celts and the other groups, which became collectively known as witchcraft. Now, let's look at witch. In the earliest centuries of human civilization, witches were the women who served the goddesses. They worshipped many aspects of the one creative life source and honored the presence of divine creator in all of nature. They believed in reincarnation and that after death, they went to the summer land for rest and renewal while awaiting rebirth. Witches are often referred to women because of sexual division of labor. In primitive ages, males who were supposed to be the physically stronger sex went out hunting, whereas females dealt more with gathering, making them wiser about nature. With their knowledge of plants, they paved the way to the first scientific advancements and were known as wise women. Females, therefore, were referred more as witches, since they were seen as capable of using this power for all kinds of purposes, including evil. Prior to the 13th century, witches performed witchcraft that included hypnosis, healing through spells, ointments, and concussions, dabbing in the supernatural, and forecasting the future through divining and clairvoyance. In England, the provision of curative magic was the job of a witch doctor, also known as a Cunningham, white witch, or wise man. Taught doctors were also credited with the ability to undo evil witchcraft. Although they did not refer to themselves as witches, these kuning folk was generally considered valuable members of the community. Many people would go to witches with their problems. The high priests and other functionaries of the Christian church felt threatened. In addition, the many panics in early modern Europe of the 14th century contributed to the changing attitude of the people towards witchcraft. At the end of the Middle Ages, there were rumors that some malign conspiracy was attempting to destroy the Christian kingdoms through magic and poison. From 1347 to 1349, the Black Death broke out, which increased the intensity of rumors about witches and plague spreaders. The church started to brand witchcraft as demon worshipping. In the Bible, witches are portrayed in the form of frightening flying creatures that fed on the flesh of babies. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church's Inquisition in the late medieval period had been established for decades, where the Catholic Church seek out and punish the non-Catholics as well as the witches. In order to save the church and its followers from the devil, in 1487, the book Hammer of Witches, or the Malleus Maleficarum, was published by Catholic Inquisition authorities, where it connected witches with evil and women. These women were believed to worship in large nocturnal assemblies, where various social ills were performed, such as promiscuous sex, naked dancing, feasting on the flesh of human infants. They were also sexually vulnerable and therefore easy prey for the devil. This book led to the torture of thousands of women in the early modern period of Europe. Since the church and the monarchy were united with each other, they started persecuting the witches in the 15th century. They filed cases against them in the court, sent them to jail, or even sentenced them in death. In addition, the reformation of the Christian church, or the conflict between Catholics and Protestants, contributed to the collapse of a stable worldview, which led to the unstable power of the Christian church. Places with strong Catholic church, such as Spain, Italy, and Portugal, didn't have as much witch trials as in places where Catholic church was weak, like Germany, France, and Switzerland, because Protestants and Catholics felt threatened and had to gain back their power. Therefore, the young people refrained from practicing witchcraft for the fear of persecution, and those who continued their practice became old and ugly due to poverty, fear, and deprivation as the time passed. This is the reason why the witches have been portrayed as old, ugly, mean, and fearful. Women who seemed most independent from patriarchal norms, especially those elderly ones aged above 50, living outside the parameters of the patriarchal family, were most vulnerable to accusations of witchcraft. This is because these women, particularly older women who had never given birth, were isolated and separated from female groups in society where there is an organized regulative late medieval social matrix around the family unit. Witch hunting or witch trials became very popular in the 16th to 17th century, or the early modern period. One of the most famous witch executions is the Salem witch trial in Massachusetts. It started in January 1692, when two young girls named Betty Paris and Abigail Williams displayed strange behaviors, such as the seizure of convolution and the entering of trance-like state. No scientific explanation was given by the physicians who had diagnosed the two girls. Therefore, the villagers firmly believed that the afflictions were brought by Satan. The two girls were pressured to disclose who was controlling the behaviors. In March 1692, another woman named Martha Corey was accused by the afflicted people. She was the member of Puritans who aimed at purifying the England churches. The accusation of a Puritan proved the thorough spread of evil influences within the community. Within a 1-year time period, around 200 people, including merchants and peasants, were accused, examined, and executed, leading to the death penalty of 20 people, and 5 people were dead in prison. There were many witch trials like this. The very last execution of witches in Europe took place in Poland in 1793. It was until 18th century, the Age of Enlightenment, when people started to rethink and criticize the irrational witch hunting. Also, thanks to technological advancement, people discovered the mechanisms of human body and natural phenomena, and hence were less afraid of the unknown power of witch. The medieval witch hunts have been depicted as a war against women, conducted by men, especially those in positions of central authority. The outcome of this tragic history didn't only resulted in the destruction of the reputation of witches, but also contributed to the long-lasting gender inequality between men and women. As suggested by Deborah Willis, author of Malevolent Nurture, that witches are heroic proto-feminist, resisting patriarchal oppression and a wholly innocent victim of a male-authored reign of terror designed to keep women in their place. In addition, the impact of church on the earlier European public is also worthy to note because these all contributed to the current society and made what is today.